It is Monday. We are starting off a holiday week here in the States. If you're from around these parts here, I guess you could say. I know that there's people that don't celebrate, but we are celebrating Thanksgiving here in the States. So usually that means a short week. People go on vacation. People go see family. So there's a few things that are going to be a little bit light this week. We only have 2 guests this week, and I'm doing 3 solo shows, just so you know. But tonight is one of those. So we're going to have our guest on tonight, and hopefully you guys tune in and have a wonderful conversation with us. We're going to be talking a little bit, a few things, business, life, the whole shebang. So come on along, guys. Let's get started, and let's get this conversation rolling. Woo! Wonderful week, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are starting off a holiday week. Yes, for some folks it's going to be a short week. Not for me. I stay continually on the grind doing what I do, but yes, people are taking the week off. They're doing some traveling. They're going to go see family here in the course in the States. And if you celebrate Thanksgiving, a lot of businesses shut down for a few days. Things sort of change up. So I don't expect as many people to be around, but that's okay. We will do what we do anyway and just have a wonderful time hanging out together. All right, guys, if this is your first time checking us out, please head over to our YouTube channel. You can follow me at using my tag now at the Gabe Little Experience over on YouTube. Do me a favor when you're over there, hit the notification bell. Yes, right. It'll let you know whenever we are live, like we are now. You'll get a notification. It'll let you know whenever we schedule new live events, and then whenever we drop new video content on the channel. So just like Miss Yolanda Chin is doing there, take a note out of her book. Go follow on YouTube. We are over 1,000 subscribers and want to continue to grow. So, and yes, we are going to talk about life. So again, if you're heading over there, please follow, check out some of our past episodes. We got 4 seasons worth of material and a few other things that we've done on the YouTube channel. So thank you again for checking us out over there. And we are live on our favorite platform, like Randy is doing here. That's right. We are on LinkedIn. So if you're checking us out on LinkedIn, same deal. Please go hit my bell there and subscribe to my profile page. It'll let you know whenever I drop new events, any kind of content that has to do around the show. So thank you for tuning in, and we got a few more people tuning in. Thank you, Randy, of course, Mr. Katie J, Elizabeth. Saludos desde Chile, she says. So they're watching. It is World Cup time too as well. Mr. Kunkel, thank you for tuning in, guys. Do appreciate you. So yes, we are gonna have us. Like I said, we're gonna have 2 live shows this week with guests. And then I'll be doing some solo shows. So if you guys are, hanging around the turkey one night and you just, or even the day after and you have leftovers, why not hang out with me and we'll talk about it. We'll talk you through things, So we're family here. So if you got other family or you don't have family around you, come hang out with this family, your virtual family here, and we'll we'll make it feel better. So, all right, before we do though and go any further, we will also lead you to head out to our merch store. So just like you see me wearing here, we do have swag. If you head over to www.mavensandmerch.com/Gabe I'm going to be creating a few more posts and new advertisements because we do got new gear for the show. So we got our Unfiltered Live gear as well there. Some nice hats. I've ordered one today. I'll order one tomorrow. You know, I got to support my own swag, and I'm going to start sending out swag to a few of our audience too as well. I want them to be able to rep their favorite creator and their favorite show. And who is that? That's me. So yes, I'm going to be reaching out to a few of my regulars. I'm going to be sending you guys some swag. So, all right, there we go. And of course, let's give a little love. Our Inky Black team, they are the ones that did our merch and helping that, the design part about it. So if you want to be able to have your merch done and created, head over to www.inkyblack.design today. They can help you create what it is you want from your vision of any kind of branding, anything along those lines. They're really good at it. That's what they do very well. So thank you again to the Inky Black team of Guy Graves and Dana Fellows. You guys rock. They are the ones who created my Impro Media's logo there. We worked through brand. I mean, it's a whole experience. So head over, go follow those guys. They are big supporters of the show. Okay. We got that done and out of the way. Let's move on to the fun stuff. So tonight's guest, hopefully you guys will enjoy this conversation. I actually have to give thanks to a gentleman, and I'll probably talk about him on Wednesday because he introduced me to so many amazing people and some of the people that I've had on this show. So I will make mention of Tommy, but I'll go a little bit further in depth later this week and talk about kind of an awesome individual that he is. But all right, let's concentrate though on our guest for this evening. Okay, he is actually the founder of RLB Partners. He is a strategic business coach who has a passion to be a catalyst to create reactions and unleash the personal and professional potential business owners and entrepreneurs, and kind of help them, increase and accelerate their goals. And not just that, he's also a wonderful individual with lots of experiences in his own right, and how he's kind of gotten to this point of wanting to help other entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and even businesses kind of grow and develop their own approach to his approach to helping them, turn their businesses around, scale them, grow them into a whole different idea that they might not be able to do. So he does this both nationally and internationally. And, he's helped tons of people, and we're going to talk about that this evening. So, all right. And yes, you do have some jokes about shaving, including, yes, I did shave down. So if you guys did not know, did cut down a little bit there. Had to get the weed whacker out. Went and got a haircut as well. The whole 9 yards. You got to take care of yourself a little bit. So, all right. Without any further ado, guys, help me welcome to the show our guest for this evening. Like I said, it was nice to meet people and individuals like our guest Robert, who do this every day as their career, but then the things that they help other individuals do in changing their own personal lives. So there you go. How can we scale a fish? We'll talk about that as well. We'll let you know. But please help me welcome to the show our guest for this evening, guys, Mr. Robert Bever. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I do appreciate you being here, taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. So let's get started, man. For those who maybe aren't too familiar with you, we did kind of walk kind of what you do, but how did you get started in wanting to become a a business development coach and helping individuals who are struggling or trying to discover what that is for them as a as a business owner. Like,
Yeah.
what was the one thing that kind of got you down that path and got you started in wanting to uh, help guide people? Because that's a lot to have. It's a huge undertaking to do, and then to do it as a actual career in business. So what was that for you, Robert? How did that journey start for you, and what were some of the benefits that you learned from that as well, from just personally in your own
Yeah.
travels?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Gabe. It's great to be here, and enjoy the opportunity to just chat with you and see how things are going. So again, happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone else that's out there that is going to celebrate. Just enjoy that time and give thanks for all the great things that we have. In my life, I have been passionate for a long time in my life. I probably from a young age actually is to just do what I can to help um, develop people, grow people, encourage people in their life. I have a life principle that says you never leave people alone, or untouched. You make them, you leave them better than you found them. Okay,
Yes.
and a life principle of mine is you either excite people or disturb them, but you never leave them in emotional neutrality. So you're always wanting to do something that's going to challenge people, encourage people, get people to move along a new path. For me, I spent the first 16 years of my life actually in pastoral ministry, which was one of those things that really challenged me to be able to help develop people and grow people and really help lead them in their lives and in their faith. But also in their life as they live every day. But I also, after that, I stepped into the business world, which was not an easy transition after what I was doing, and but it was an opportunity for me to be able to really test myself because I was starting from a plane that was. Uh, I look at it like I started a marathon race, but I was behind. Everybody else had already started in the business community. I was behind from that, even though I had some great experiences in what I did. And I worked in some very significant institutions and opportunities to start other nonprofits, but the business world was just different. And so I really had to work hard to develop that. And I had some people come alongside me, some mentors who really walked me through those first few years. But where the rubber really hit the road was when I started to work in the publishing world, and I ended up in executive positions in sales, marketing, business development, and really had an opportunity to work not only with people. I had large staff in sales and marketing, but I also had responsibilities for business development. What does it mean to develop the business and take it to the next steps? And that started at after my 25 years in the publishing industry. I stepped out from there and started consulting with other publishing companies. And I enjoyed that, did that. It came to a point though where I said, I looked at my wife one day and I said, in the last 365 days, I spent half of those in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, I can do this anywhere. Why do we decide where to go? We moved here to Colorado where my daughter and her family and my son live, so we could be near them in Colorado. But while I got here, I recognized that there's a whole group of businesses and people who are underserved in the market in terms of coaching, business coaching, helping them develop strategically. And so I chose to really focus in here. I do stuff outside of this area, but I really focused here on small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, because again, it's an underserved market. Many times they can't even afford some coaches.
Yeah.
Or other programs. And I was in a position where I could do that. I could serve them and service them. Yeah, to some extent, make it a little bit easier for them and better for them. But the challenge has always been how do we help people move from where they are currently to where they want to be, whether that be in business or personally, and what does it take to do that? And you have to take a broader view. You have to take really look not just at particular instances or issues, but you have to look at the whole picture and understand how that all fits together. And in business, it's not just the business principles; it's the life principles itself. It's the personal development that they want to go through. They need to go through things they need to understand and realize. So what it does is it feeds my passion to help grow people. And if you grow people, you're going to grow the things that they touch. the things that they are managing, the things that they are doing, those will grow with them if you are able to really manage that and challenge those people in their growth. And then you can take it into the business world. So it's been a lot of fun. I've seen some real significant opportunities to turn some businesses around, get some solopreneurs really moving to where they're now, in some cases more of what they consider to be a legitimate business. They're not just a paycheck business, to pay themselves, but they're actually making a difference in their community. They're supporting other families by giving them jobs. It's exciting to see.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. That first of all, a lot of the things that you touched on there. I mean, you spent so long in the publishing world. Um, you've come from a place of where you've had to serve others. You've done this for
Mhm.
such a while. And that builds a lot of character, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people find that refreshing when they sit down with somebody for the first time and needing help and like saying, I got no, you know, I started this idea of this dream of this business,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
didn't actually quite understand the whole undertaking of everything that what would be involved in doing this. I mean, because again, everybody loves the title of saying I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur, but then everything that kind of packs along and goes with that. I mean, so
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you help them have to kind of learn how to differentiate when they're in the business? Because when you start out as an entrepreneur, it is business and personal that get mixed in, but at some point you have
Yeah.
to kind of delineate which is which and how to draw a boundary between the two.
Yeah, you have to do that. I think the first thing is it's really easy for especially a solopreneur or an entrepreneur who's just starting out to get buried in the business because it's what they want to do. A lot of small businesses that I work with started because they enjoyed doing what they do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love making cabinets, or I love plumbing, or I don't know, whatever it is that you do, and
Right.
I want to go out and do that. I'm a crafts person. I want to go out and build all those things. I want to do those things. And the challenge is that an entrepreneur has to move, and a person who starts a business has to move from wanting to do those things to actually running a business if they're going to grow.
Yeah.
Most of those people never got into business to actually start a business. They got
Yeah.
in to do what they love to do and get paid to do it. And so all of the business stuff around them is either gets ignored or it overwhelms them. They don't know what to do with it. A lot of times, then once I sit down with, I'll ask them, "How's your business going?" And they're going to go, "Well, it seems to be going pretty well. I got customers, and I got
Yeah.
some money in the bank, and I paid my bills, so I must be doing okay." And they have really no clue or understanding of what's really happening with their business. What are the indicators that tell me whether I'm on pace, I'm off pace, whether I'm going to make it or whether I'm not going to make it? How do I know I can make payroll this next week? How do I know I'm going to be able to pay myself this next week? What do I look at in the business, and how does that all fit together? Again, because the last thing they started the business for was to be a business person in the detail of those things. And so most business owners spend most of their time working in the business, not working on the business.
Mm.
And there's a big distinction between those. And so that's where the treadmill comes in, and that's where they just start getting sucked in more, and it impacts their personal life, their family life, their free time, the things that they had hoped they were going to be able to do, because now they got to spend all this time on things and they don't know really what they're doing. So it just perpetuates the problem, and it continues the hamster wheel for them.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of helping them get off of that and figuring out what that is. And it's different for every person. It's different for every business. There is no one silver bullet that's going to go across all of them. There are business principles. They're there.
Yeah.
It's not knowing the business principle. It's knowing how to apply it in your particular situation and making a difference in that way. One of the big mistakes a lot of people in business do, especially small businesses, is they choose to imitate rather than initiate or
Ooh.
innovate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you think about it from those terms of like you said, from they start the business doing something that they love, right? And I've had conversations with people who started businesses before, and they it takes them years before they pay themselves. Like they'll get
Yeah.
employees and they'll pay their employees before they're paying themselves. And I'm like, I mean, how is that like progress? You're again, you're working too hard at something like that. And like you said, they don't actually know when it's time to say either I just want to be a maker or I want to actually be a business owner.
Right. Right. And then they have to make a decision as to whether they want to move from just, again, being a paycheck business where I just pay myself enough to live on, or I want to grow something a little bit more beyond myself and leave some kind of a legacy or make a bigger impact or have an opportunity to have some significance and out there in the world. So making that change is hard. Business owners, one of the mistakes they make is they don't pay themselves. That is a big mistake that's made, and they think that they're doing they're benefiting their business by not paying themselves. It's actually a detriment if you do that. One, it is an issue of just if I don't pay myself, what am I doing? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a demotivator rather than a motivator. Now I can go through periods of time where I cut back on things that I want and I need to invest back in the business. But I need to have that that motivation and that opportunity to have my needs met.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I am constantly. I'm not going to be creative. I'm not going to be able to lead well. Those are because I'm always thinking about those things. Those things weigh down on me. So a big mistake that I see business owners make is they don't take time to pay themselves. Now they may not be able to pay themselves everything they want
Mm.
yet, but they can certainly pay themselves, and they need to begin to realize that they have to pay for the value that they bring to the business. Um, and because frankly, what would happen if they weren't there?
Yeah.
So if somebody else can just step in and do it, then there's no need for them to be there, right? So it's that's important for them. I have some businesses that I've worked with in the last year and a half that were in that situation. They were barely paying themselves, if at all. And one of the first things we worked on was you need to look at what you're paying yourself. Um, it's great you want to keep your employees. It's great you want to do those things, but you're in business to support yourself, but also your business is not in a stable position if you can't pay yourself.
Yeah.
And if you were to try to sell your business at that point, why would anybody buy that business if they can't make any money on it? Right.
Right.
So it becomes a priority of what you have to do. And it means then that you have to set some priorities, you have to set some boundaries. And most of the time in the business world, a lot of these smaller organizations, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to create a budget. They don't know how to manage people and manage to a budget. And what does a P&L look like? What does it mean? An accountant can tell you what a P&L says, but a good strategic business coach is going to tell you what it means. So
Yeah.
you're going to look forward with that rather than backwards, and understand what the business is made of. So anyway, that's a long answer
No, but
to
that's
your
hey, that's
question.
hey, no, but that's perfect because that's what a lot of them. Again, that's probably a lot of the information they don't. Sometimes they actually know this, but they need to hear it, like from an external perspective
Yep.
from somebody and
Yep.
saying, "Okay, I know the gut was telling me that, but like hearing it from somebody else, and then like, okay, now I got to make everything align, and those sort of things because, I love it when people also do things kind of what you mentioned in the beginning. It's like, hey, as your own entrepreneurial journey, it was like, hey, I could do my business from anywhere. I'm going to be around family, like making decisions like that again have probably been so beneficial to you. I mean, right? You get to see. I mean,
Yep.
you get to be around the things that you love, right? Isn't
Yep.
that part
Everything
of it?
except my beach. I miss my beach. I used to live in Southern California, and so there's not a lot of beaches
Beaches
out
in
here in Western
Colorado.
Colorado. It's more desert. But no, it makes a big difference to have that, and not just for me in my own me, but also for my wife. Because as a business owner, again, you get busy, you get involved, and for my wife to be able to have access to what's important for her, the family, be able to invest herself in the family, be able to spend time with not only the kids but the grandkids and watch them grow up and be a part of their lives in a more more than 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. Right.
To be there daily, pick them up from school, go to the school events with our grandkids, and it that is huge, and that's very important for us. Family is a big thing for us, and relationship is the key, is one of the keys to life. Okay, it's a
Yeah.
key to business, it's a key to life. You got to build relationships. If you don't have good, strong, solid relationships, you're just going to be extremely lonely in life. You're not
Yeah.
going to get the fulfillment out of life, because we were created to be in community, to be in relationship with one another,
Yeah.
and to be able to set aside our differences and just enjoy life together and journey through life together and help and support each other through life.
Yeah.
And so that's really critical. So whether it doesn't matter, fully where you are, but you got to find a way to be able to build that into your life. And if it can't come from because you don't have family around you, you build an external family of some kind, so
Yeah.
another family. Right? You mentioned it when you were bringing when you're starting the program. Hey, we're
Yeah.
family. If you don't have family, this is a family for you.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
relationships become a key. Then the basis of relationship is, I have a principle that says this: I I will give you trust unconditionally until you break it.
Yeah.
Then then we have to rebuild it. But I don't make you earn trust before I give it to you. I will trust you first. And as a result of that, that opens up the opportunity to build relationships and take them deeper.
Yeah, man, and that's why I say, for a lot of people who, when they get started down this journey with just an idea, and all to me, those all those factors are important in making those decisions and making the jump. It's
Yeah.
not just a financial one of like, can I afford to do it? It's all the other things that go along with that, because you do have to remember that this is not just your business, but your life and everything that
Yeah.
revolves
Yeah.
around it. And that's huge,
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
lot of people who don't know this. You know?
And I think it's important for business, especially small business owners. Small business is defined as, by in the government, defines it as anything under less than 500 employees making less than $7 million. Um, well, and that most of us are never going to reach
Yeah.
that at that point, right? But when you really look at that, means that 99.7% of all businesses are small businesses.
Yeah.
That's 31.7 million businesses that are small businesses. And when you break it down even further, the idea is that it's about um, the small businesses account for 49% of all the employees in the United States.
Oof.
Okay, so small businesses are absolutely critical to the backbone of our economy. They're the backbone of our society. And we need to help those entrepreneurs, those solopreneurs, or small business owners understand how to be successful, how to achieve their goals, how to accelerate their growth, but do it in a way that doesn't kill them in the process, that doesn't destroy their relationships, that gives them the opportunity to enjoy the life that God has created them to have.
Absolutely, man. If I, you know what, I'm gonna give some applause for that. I love, but Robert, and not just not just in terms of what we're talking about business. There's a few other things I want to shift to.
Sure.
That kind of go down your own path as well. I mean, one of the things that I love that you talked about was you spent 25 years in publishing. I mean,
Mhm.
um, nobody plans to do that. Nobody says, I want to sit there and get into that. But like, how did you sort of find your way into that world? Because it's, I mean, it's one that's pretty interesting, and in like, because you're part of an industry where you're creating and sharing
Mhm.
other people's visions, ideas, and I can see how it transitions into your current practice. But what was that like for you in getting started and doing that? Because that was quite a long time. I mean, it's a quarter of a century that you spent in that
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. I it was something I was always interested in. And after I had about 5 years of business experience, really growing in that with it was an international sales consulting firm that I started working with when I started in the business community, and was general manager of that company for 4.5 of those years. And I really learned the business world at that point, but I had a passion for publishing. And I did wanted to do publishing that was also related to a lot of the ministry that I was in before as well, but in the publishing world. So I joined the first company I joined, did a lot of educational resources stuff, ministry resource, but books as well.
Yeah.
And then the other companies I was with did the same thing. It's very interesting. Um, Working with authors can be a real enjoyable challenge. Um,
I can imagine.
you sit there and you ask an author, so who's the target audience? Who's going to want to read your book? And of course, their answer is everybody.
Everybody.
Right? Everybody's going to want to read my book. Why wouldn't it? It's going to be the next New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
And the hardest thing was beginning to help manage their expectations,
Right.
and to help them understand that the average sales of a book today is less than 1,000 in its lifetime. So the being able to put out a book that's going to sell thousands and hundreds of thousands of copies, that's unique. Okay, that's kind of like getting in the NFL.
Yeah.
So but helping manage expectations in that. So that was one of the real important things for me when I learned from there. I also enjoy very much the creative side. I enjoy writing myself. I had the privilege when I stepped out of the publishing world, I moved here to Colorado a few years later. I started a magazine here in town that was focused on some neighborhoods and an opportunity to be able to feature businesses and people in the community and do that type of thing. So it fed my creative side and my publishing side, while I was able to also work as a coach as well. So it's exciting to see what happens when people engage with content.
Yes.
Whatever form that is. But it's also been unique because there's so much difference in the way you interact with content. Digital content is very different than printed content, and how we react to it, how we live with it. What's interesting is in about 2008, they said that they expected that within a few years that digital would take over the world in terms of all content. And in about 2009, the ebooks ran about 25% of the market.
Yeah.
And today in 2021, it's 25% of the market. So there's some lessons to learn there as well.
Yeah.
Some of the lessons are that that the new thing that comes out isn't necessarily going to be the thing that blows everything else away. It's going to find its niche. It's going to find its place.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to learn as business people, where do we want to put our energy, our effort, our focus? How does that impact us? Where do we stay? What do we do? And really learning how to focus on that niche and my market. What is my market? And stay within that, but understand how technology is going to impact, or whatever else it is with disruptors come in, how that impacts, and make those adjustments along the way that you need to. But you don't have to fear change. You don't have to fear the technology that comes in or those things. They open up opportunities to do other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I equate it to what you just mentioned there. That it's still the experience, right? So digital could be along those lines of things, but I tell the whole idea that they talked about, I can't remember where I saw this, but where when they were doing televising sporting events, right? Like, why would people go to the stadium to go watch? It's the experience.
Total different experience.
It's
exactly right.
So when somebody's holding a book and actually looking in there, people still physically connect with it, like opening it up and seeing how it is, and it still enthralls them into continue to turn a page instead of you clicking a button, folding a corner, because you want to go back and touch that thing instead of saying, I'm just going to bookmark it on my computer and go back.
Right. Well, it is very different. If you stop and think about how do you find something in a book you've read, you can remember kind of where it was, right?
Yes.
And then, but in digital, it's a lot harder to do that as well. But I think one of the real critical principles here is the idea that what I bring to the market, people have an experience with it. So what is the unique experience that I bring with what it is that I do in the market and focus on that and help understand that that's the value that I'm bringing to the market, actually more than the product. It's the experience that they have with it. And how do I enhance that? How do I continue that? How do I make sure that other people have that experience and know that that's what can differentiate me from the guy next door who's doing the exact same thing that I'm doing?
Yes. And that's why every time that I have these conversations, and let's just say a week, 2 weeks from now, I have another business coach on, the approach and what you shared him with that individual and what you shared are going to be totally different, and they're going to, the
Mhm.
experience and what resonates with that person that's watching, it's going to be different. And like,
Yeah.
so that's the whole idea behind it, and why none of these conversations that I have are repetitive or mundane in the sort, because each one of them is just as unique. And I know we're talking about
Right.
the book publishing industry, but I see it as each one of these is its own book. It's different. What you're going to read here is not what you're going to read 3 weeks, a month, 3 months down the line from what that is. And it's because of the experiences itself. And Randy kind of took my next sort of where I was leading to, but we'll go ahead and use it. So if you have published other people's books, have you ever written your own?
I have a lot of material and I have some things that I have had some people just kind of hounding me to do it. And, you know, it's a painful process. I know that. I probably need to. I just have to physically take the time and listen to people around me who are saying you need to do it. It's
I
something
am one
I've
of those.
resisted. Yeah, it's something I've resisted, but because once I put it down in writing, it's permanent, right? So,
Yes.
so
Okay.
then, okay, what do I do then? But no, it is it's something that I thought about, and here's the deal. One of the things that I learned through publishing as well is that everybody has a story. Everybody's got a unique story. Every business has a story. The whole thing about our life in building relationships or in selling is about what's the story?
Yeah.
What's your story? If you can tell me your story, I can connect with you and I can build a relationship with it. That's what we're doing right here. We're telling story. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best ways that we have to build relationships, telling story and asking questions. To me, somebody asked me before, what makes a good business coach? And the answer I give them is the best thing a business coach can do is learn how to ask good questions. Ask the questions
Mm.
and shut up and let the person talk.
Okay, change business coach to interview host, and that's that's the approach.
That's true. That's true.
Ask the right questions, and then shut up and
Yeah.
let them explain part of what it is that their journey is. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love the way your mindset is, because it very much aligns with how I take my same approach in doing interviews and everything else. And not just that, but I've been one of those individuals as well. It's like people have told me to write the book, I'm writing the book, but that's probably been one of the big holdups, is that once it's there, like, it's no longer yours. Like, even though you created it, it's out
Yeah.
there in the world and people can go and whatever. But I'm learning to work past that. I mean, and like you said, it's an arduous process for those who've never gone through it. Like, what that is, like sitting down
Yeah.
and you've worked with publishers before. I'm pretty sure you've had to help sometimes guide them into a finished product, like from
Yeah.
beginning to end. I mean, it's hard.
Well, when I had the magazine, which I did for about 6 years, I wrote the majority of the articles in the magazine. So whether I wrote a book or not, I probably wrote a book in the amount of time in the amount of articles I
That
wrote.
wrote.
But in terms of the discipline of writing a book, it just I know what it takes to write and write good material, and it's just time consuming. So I right now I'd rather spend my time and focus my time on helping other people get to where they want to be that catalyst that comes in and creates the reaction and accelerates the rate of change for them to get them to where they want to be faster.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. I love that though, but you know, um, I am along the mindset that at some point we do. we do all this for ourselves as well, and taking part
Hmm.
about it and going out there and putting ourselves
Yeah.
out into the world, because we do have something to offer, and there will come a point where um, Robert will want to be able to just let everything that he's already created in life go out there and still work and be shared, because, like, you know, we are finite. There will come a
Yep.
time that our grains in that hourglass will stop ticking, and everything that we do have the opportunity to go out and do as part of our legacy. What we do
That's
as
right.
individuals. So that's one thing that I've always asked, and I'm going to ask this question. I haven't asked this question in a long time, but I'm going to ask you. Um, so since we're talking about publishing too, this works so perfectly. This is a great night. Okay. This is how I used to ask this question on my previous shows, and I haven't asked this in almost a year. So I'm going to ask you, Robert, because this kind of
Okay. All
aligned
right.
with it, but here goes. So when the book is said and done on Robert Bever, what do you want to be remembered for, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave
Hmm.
behind?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a question we all need to be asking ourselves. What I would like written on my tombstone is this, which is very important to me. He did justice, he loved kindness, and he walked humbly with God. I believe that if those three things characterize my life, I will have impacted people in a way that will have an opportunity to leave the mark on them and leave the impact and leave a legacy.
Mm.
So the legacy I want to leave is in the lives of people that I've had the opportunity in some way to touch. And what I said at the beginning was I don't want to leave any kind of interaction I have with people without having done something to impact them, to make a difference, to challenge them, to encourage them, to strengthen them, whatever the issue may be. You never leave people the same as you found them. You always want to make those deposits in their life. And by doing that, you will build the legacy that will be left. I don't know that I can define what that legacy will be. The people I touch will define that legacy.
I
Um,
love that. I love that, man. That is
so,
so. I guess that's so in tune, like how, um, I want things to be left for myself, right? Like each one of these episodes is another
hmm.
piece. It's another thing that
Yep.
people will see, and it'll leave quite the impression of
Yeah.
what this is, and that's for me
Mm.
where I see how what I'm supposed to be doing with my life and my gift is to do this
Mm.
as well, and that's the part I feel is also going to be um, my sort of impact into however long this lasts for me. So I love the answer though, man. I love it because and it was always one of the best things the questions that I thought of, because
Yeah.
there are there's no right or wrong answer to it, like you said. There's no way that it needs to be defined one way or another, and it's an interesting introspective into people in general, and just hearing about it. I mean, I
Yeah.
love that you already had an answer that quick, because there's some people when I ask the question, Robert, they're just like, you know what, I haven't thought about
Mm.
it. And it's interesting, but maybe it gets their mind thinking maybe along those lines at some point, and that's the whole thing behind it. It's just to be a little
Yeah.
bit thought provoking, like you said. Make them Don't leave them the way that the way that they were when you there first met them. Like, that's part of it. So,
Yeah.
woo, man, we go by so fast. It's like this conversation. Um, I don't know. Just sometimes I feel like it doesn't even seem like I've had enough time to do this. But again, um, you know, guys, I'm always thankful for everybody that shows up here, and hopefully they take something out of this conversation tonight. I know I have. And again, we have the ability every single time that we get to have these interactions to leave an impression, and I love that, and I think you left an impression, a good impression tonight, with not only myself but then everybody in the audience. So I'm going to tell you guys again, please go follow Robert on LinkedIn. I'll drop his link there as well. And, please, again, reach out to him if you're in a position of your entrepreneurial journey and you feel like you're stuck or stagnant or don't know exactly what it is, he said a word in there that I really love, and that's a catalyst. And that's sometimes what people need to find their direction and again to get moving forward in their own sort of developmental journey in business. So thank you, Robert. Sit tight.
Sure.
Man, I enjoyed this conversation. Everybody else, we will be back again tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. Again, you guys are the best audience on any social media platform, bar none. I love it when you guys come here and just hang out with me and take so much. Well, you add as much value as you take away from what I share and what our guest shares every single night. So, all right, guys. Before we do though, let's give our a brief. We always do this when we have our guests. Please tune in tomorrow. Guys, again, rocked it out, and we will be back tomorrow evening. So, as you know, and I always end the show like this: be well, stay well, live, love, and serve like no one else, and you will change the world around you. So, until tomorrow evening, guys, good night, everybody.